Very good afternoon to everyone present here. Viren, first of all, I'd like to say from one sportsman to another, thank you for what you are doing with the Olympic Gold Quest, with our best athletes, and I only hope that, that there are many, many more like you who, once they are done with their sport, want to take it forward and want to see India win more gold medals at the Olympics. Good job. Guys, I'm not brought a paper around. I'm not going to read anything. Whenever I speak at events like this, or I speak to kids at pools or at colleges, I always speak from my heart, and that's what I'm going to do today. Over the last couple of months, like Sir mentioned, after I stopped swimming, I've been doing my swim clinics, my swim workshops, because I wanted to stay in touch with a sport that has given me so much and has made me who I am today. And I realized that if I can work with the youth of today and help them realize their dreams, be there for them, maybe it'll help me as an individual, as a sportsman, to take this all to my new sport, golf, in any way possible. So I do a lot of talks at the end of every clinic. I sit down with about 20 or 30 swimmers and their parents, and I speak to them, like I'm speaking to you today, about what it is I did in my career to get where I have gotten. And the only difference is that y'all are not in swim costumes and swim trunks, but I hope that what I say, y'all can relate to, and it does make a difference in some way to the way you chase your dreams and you follow your passion. The theme of my talk is called Belong, because everything I did in life, whether it is my swimming, every decision I made, whether it is my clinics or my golf now that I've started, everything started because I believe that I belong to my passion. I believe that I belong to my dream. So just a little bit about my journey and how I started. I started swimming in Bombay at the age of 7 at the Wellington Sports Club. It happened by default because we used to go to swim practice one day and Shamak Davar's dance class one day. So my dad would be driving me to the swimming pool one day and then to dance class the other. And we got to a point where he said, Rehan, look, we can't do both. You have to decide one. You have to take a choice and then make this your career. So at the back of my mind, I honestly wanted to dance. So on that very day, I showed up at this dance class, and I was a really, really shy kid. I was really shy. So I walked in there to the class, and the dance instructor said that today is going to be a day where you choose a girl as your partner, and we're going to do a partner dance class. So me being me, went and hid in this corner, sat down, and wanted to have nothing to do with the class. I ran out of there. I went home and I said, Dad, swimming it is. So that's how I ended up getting into the pool. And from ever since I can remember, I've always been really, really competitive. I've always wanted to win, just have that medal around my neck. So it was only natural that I started swimming competitively. We drove to my first race at the Otters Club, and I ended up being second last. So I cried all the way home, and I decided that no matter what, I'm going to win at this sport. A week later, I studied in St. Mary's right here in Bombay. So we had our sports day trials. And I was a terrible athlete. I would finish last in every single running race. And as an 8 or a 9-year-old, to be made fun of, to be told that you can't run, you can't play any other sport, it really hit my self-confidence a lot. And I decided that day that I am second last in swimming, which I've chosen to do for the rest of my life. I can't run to save my life, right? So I decided that I'm going to do everything I can do to make sure I'm a better swimmer than any athlete that has ever come out of St. Mary's School. So I went back and I went on to the schedule of training twice a day. I did a little dry land. I was too young to really lift weights. And I got onto swimming really, really seriously. By the age of 11, I was national champion, national record holder. And by 12, I was not good enough to make nationals. And when I tell this to swimmers today, when I talk to athletes, I'd say this so they realize that it is always natural that you can be a champion one year and you can be nobody the next. And it is how you come out of those struggles as whether you're a 12-year-old or a 30-year-old or whichever dream you're chasing, you're always going to have that graph of going up and then coming down. So at 12, I went to nationals, only selected for one relay. So basically, I was 4th in the 50-meter freestyle at our state selections in Bombay, and that's the event I made it to. But since I love to race and I love to watch racing, I would go to nationals, and we went to nationals in Jodhpur, and I would go to every heat and every final and just sit for 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the evening, and watch these kids racing. And I would just die to race, but I couldn't. I was not eligible to. So I went to my dad and I said, Dad, these Bangalore swimmers are doing really, really well. I want to race these guys in practice, and I want to race these guys one day at nationals. So in 1 week, I'm not exaggerating, in 1 week, my mom, my dad, and I packed business, shut down, moved to Bangalore, and my dad got me included with the best swimming team there was at that time in the country. I trained for those 8 months, and I will never forget moments that I experienced through those 8 months. I was new in school, so I was miserable because I had no friends. I was this over-enthusiastic 12-year-old who just didn't care, so I would be racing the entire workout, irritating a lot of my seniors. So I was bullied in the pool. And through those 8 months, there was one thing that told me that, listen, you have to stick. This is what you do. This is what draws you to success. It's your swimming pool, and you focus on only that, and nothing else should matter. So I worked those 8 months, and at the end of 8 months, I was, at the age of 13, national champion again, and national record holder again. I held the title in 14, held the title in 15. By 16, I was the fastest Indian of any age group in several events. So this coach, thank you. So one of the coaches at nationals came up to my dad and my coach and said, look, he's doing a pretty good 200 butterfly, and his timing is only 4.5 seconds off the qualifying time. Why don't you try to get this boy to the Olympics? Why can't he be an Olympian? So it was not really my dream at the time, because I mean, I was 16, I was very happy winning national championships and walking around in school and showing off my medals. But this was made my dream, and since it was made my dream, I started thinking, well, I'm India's #1 swimmer, why not try and make it to the Athens Olympics? So we got down to practicing really hard. We decided that this is the event, the 200 butterfly, that I'm going to try to aim at swimming at the Athens Olympics. From 209 in the 200 butterfly, I went to 208. I cut a second, I cut another second, and another. The minute I hit 206, the government of India gave me a scholarship to train at Perth. So we went to Perth, and another 6 months I spent training really, really hard till I got to this Malaysian Open, which was the last possible Olympic qualifier to get to Athens. I got up on the blocks, and there was, I'd like to describe it as just this weight, this spirit that just sat on my shoulders and told me that, look, you're 16, you don't belong here. You've got Asian swimmers who are much faster than you, let alone the Olympics. You do not belong in the pool. You definitely do not belong at this meet and at the Olympics. And this spirit just sat there, and I went through my race, and instead of even clocking the time I had clocked before, I went and did a 3 second slower time, and I went 209 again. So I left the pool, we came back home, and whether it was pressure or whether it was just this doubt in my head that told me, you cannot do this, I don't know what it was, but I threw my bag on the floor and I told my dad, I hate the pool. I hate my sport, and I hate that I ever set this dream. I was a happy 16-year-old kid winning national championships, and now look at me. I do not want to go back to practice again. So we went there, we went back to India, and I did train, but never with my heart, never like I had trained before. I was a totally different swimmer in here and in here. And we shifted pools at the time, and I'd never forget, we were walking around the pool. My coach used to do his early morning walks, and he asked me, look, you've come to me already India's best. What more do you want out of your sport? And I told him that 4 years from now, you and I are going to walk out onto that Beijing Olympic ceremony together. Come what may, this is my dream. You're not an Olympian either. I will make you an Olympian by getting to Beijing. So we trained, but because there was so much doubt, and it was like this demon sitting inside my head that I cannot do this 200 butterfly event, I didn't train for that event. I trained for everything else. So I would race nationals. We would be allowed 5 events. So on the first 4 days, I would have 4 goals, 4 national records. The 200 butterfly would come along, and I would fail. I would fail and lose my championship. And this happened for 3 years in succession. At every meet I swam, I would do personal best times, win golds abroad and in India, and mess up this one particular 200 fly, because it was just that demon sitting inside saying, you do not belong to this event. We went to, in 2007, we went to the World Championships in Melbourne, and my coach told me that, look, you swam all your life, you've achieved all this, and if this is the one event that's really bothering you, go and mess it up. Don't bother about it. Just swim, because you love to swim, because this is your best event. Whether you like it or not, this is your talent, this is your best event. So just do it for that reason. I went up there not really caring about the result like I had for the last 4 years. and I went at 2:04. I clocked the qualifying time for the Athens Olympics. But don't clap just yet, because by then, the qualifying time that the world swimming body had made was 2:01. All right, so we had 3 more seconds to go. I did know, but I just got out of the pool and I called up my parents who were in India, and I just cried for 3 minutes on the phone, because it wasn't about doing 2:01, or it was just about me believing that I can actually swim this event again. And I finished like 35th in the world at that point out of 50 swimmers, so it's not like I made a semi-final, but it was just, in my heart, I knew that I do belong to this event, I can race this event. So we came back to India, and even though there was still doubt that I was training for the 400 IM for the Beijing Olympics, and my coach called me to the office and he said, let's stop fooling yourself. If there's one event you're going to swim at Beijing, it's this 200 butterfly. It's not going to be the 400 medley. So start training for it. You have 8 months to go. Give it your best shot. Right? So we trained 8 months. We raced the Macau Open, we raced the Hong Kong Open, and every international meet I swam, I got better and better, but I just couldn't do that 2:01 qualifying time. I was on Skype with my friend in America who was also an Olympian, and I told him that, no, Ankur, no matter what I do, I just can't seem to make Olympics. I've done everything else, but I just can't seem to make Olympics. So he said, you've got a month to go. Just enjoy it, because chances are, if you fail, you're going to quit. So if this is going to be the last month of your 20-year swimming career, you might as well just enjoy it. So that's what I did. I enjoyed that last month of training, and we got to our last possible qualifier, which was the Sydney Grand Prix. I had a heat and I had a final. In the heat, I did 2:01, but I missed the qualifying time by 0.2 of a second. So that's it. That's 0.2 of a second. I missed it by that much, and I knew in my heart that there is no way I can possibly swim faster than this. I gave it everything. I felt great in the water, and I said, after all this, if I'm still not going to do the time, then what's the point? I had a sleepless night. So did my dad. So did my coach. We landed up for finals the next morning at the pool, and my coach said, I am so nervous that I am not coming with you to the starting blocks, to the reporting area, because you'll see it on my face and you're going to get nervous. I looked at my dad, and my dad said, I'm going to the gallery to sit. So I went to that reporting room, and 5 minutes before my race, I sat there, and usually I have my own pre-race routine that I do. I did something different this time. I looked back, and I said, I have done this sport for 20 years. And I questioned why I started this sport. Okay, many of us here have this dream, have this passion, and we start something not because we want to be champions at it, but because we love to do it. And we forget along the way when there's stress, when there's bad results, when you're not succeeding. You forget why you initially started what you did. And if you could please change the slide. There is, no, the previous one. Yeah, that's me at 7 at one of my first races. And I went back in my mind to me at 7. I stood there on those blocks, and I was so nervous. But I started like that because I loved to race. And I told myself that you've got all of 2 minutes and 1 second to either swim more or just stop swimming. And for these 2 minutes, if you can enjoy this event, it'll be well worth it. So I got in there, and 2 minutes and 1 second later, I did qualify for the Beijing Olympics. I got out of the pool, I met my dad, I met my coach, and 1 month later, I mean, everybody's been to a cricket match here, I hope, I'm guessing. So you have this big stadium, and you have the huge corridors that you go into to get into your seats. And 1 month later, I'm standing in one of those corridors. I'm one of 62 or 65 Indians chosen to represent India at the Olympics. So I'm thinking to myself today, after 20 years of sport, I'm one of a billion. I'm actually literally one of a billion. I'm standing in the middle of a team of 60 individuals who are so fantastic. And 20 yards in front, I have my flag bearer, and I have this Indian flag flying high up in front of me. And then your team is announced. So India's name is announced, and you walk out onto the arena. And I say this, and I say this every single time I say this at a clinic, I get goosebumps. I hope some of you all are getting goosebumps here. I walked out, and for those 15 seconds, all the sacrifices that I made of shifting state, leaving family, getting bullied in school, getting bullied at practice, saying no to dates, saying no to girls, no, I can't come out, I've got practice tomorrow. Every single sacrifice I made, all the fights with my coaches, my parents, the internal fights, everything for those 15 seconds were worth it. And I, sure enough, had my coach on one side, and I had Ankur on the other. And I told my coach, look, 4 years, and we're right here. Okay? And whether there are sportsmen over here, or, okay, so quite a few sportsmen. I truly believe that you are the only person who can truly represent who you are. And if you have a dream, if you have a passion, and you can tell yourself at the end of the day that you have given it everything to get to that point, in my eyes, you're a champion. And in your eyes, you should be a champion. How many golds did Michael Phelps win at the Olympics? Anyone? 8. 8 gold medals at the Olympics. How many medals did this guy on the screen win at the Olympics? 0. But today, and I'm saying this with no humility, okay? Today, if I'm dressing up for a talk, and I'm standing in front of the mirror, and I'm looking at myself, I'm taking that fancy selfie that we all take. When I look in the mirror, I'm looking at myself and saying, I am a hero. And I'm not a hero because I was national champion, or I won medals abroad, or I went to the Olympics. I am a hero because I can tell myself that after 20 years of swimming, I gave it everything that I possibly could, and I lived my dreams. Thank you. I've spoken so much about swimming, but something that I think you all will definitely relate to, and a lot of you all must be doing this because there are so many successful people in this audience today. I had an injury in my foot. I tore a small muscle, so I couldn't kick before the national games. And I was so frustrated, I would mess up every single practice. So my coach would throw me out of practice. I would come home. And one day I came home and I told Mom, just cancel tickets. We are not going to Assam. We are not going to race the national games. And she said, okay, fine, go to your room. We'll talk about this a little later. I went to my trophy. I went and looked at my trophy stand. And my favorite trophy was missing from that stand. And that spot had been cleaned up. So I went back to my mom and I said, what sort of a joke is this? I'm already so dejected. What are you doing? So she very matter-of-factly told me, no, I've cleaned up that place because 1 week later you're going to bring that Best Athlete National Games trophy and we have to have place for it on your stand. So I've kept place. And sure enough, 1 week later, I came and I brought that trophy and I put it back in that spot. So it may not work every time, but if you can imagine that you have already reached success before you actually are living that dream, there are chances are that it will happen. I mean, nobody here wants to fail. But yes, we are going to have failure. It's how, like I said in the beginning, it's how hard you stand up after getting kicked and pushed down to the floor every single time. And the number of times you can keep standing up, the stronger person you are going to be. I belong to the pool, and that is why I do my clinics. I know that I run the best workshops there are to run in the country, not because I'm that good at it, but because I have a connection to the water and to the pool. And I try to bring that connection. I try to make kids relate to that connection today when I do my workshops. Today I started golf. I started golf at the age of 27. I'm competing against guys who've been playing from the age of 6, right? And I walk into restaurants, in the restrooms, in wherever I go, even now. 5 minutes before this talk, I came onto stage. I was in the loo, and I was doing a practice swing. Okay, I was doing shadow practice. If a coach gave me a correction, I used to swim in front of the mirror. And people would think I'm weird. Like, what are you doing? My family takes pictures of me and says, this is what you were doing at dinner. Okay, but it is weird. But it is these few weird people who just don't care about what anybody thinks of them, but have that one single-minded focus that this is me, this is my dream, this is my passion, and I am going to get it no matter what. It is eventually these people that succeed. How many here have seen the movie Catch Me If You Can? Okay. So it is one of my favorite movies, and I'm sure you will remember this quote. For those who haven't, Leonardo DiCaprio's father, in the beginning of the movie, is honored. And he comes up on stage and he gives a small speech, and in that speech he talks about this. It's not really a quote, but this is what he says. He says, 2 little mice are fall into a bucket of cream. So one mouse quickly gives up and drowns, and the other runs so hard that he churned that cream into butter and jumped out alive. This was me as a mouse 20 years ago, and I think I've come out alive. I'm sure many of you here today have these big, huge goals that they want to see become reality one day. So hopefully someday you all can also say that you were that mouse once that jumped out and came out a success. Thank you so much for having me here. It is trust me when I say this, 20 years of swimming is totally worth it when I can stand among so many successful people and share my story and hope that they can take back something good with them and for their careers and they can really relate to. Thank you and good day.